And we're live. Thank you all so much for joining. It looks like we already have a lot of people in the chat and a lot of people on with us that we're going to bring in to ask questions. I'm proud to say that everything you saw in that intro, the food machines, the images, were all designed in Alibre. Now we're going to be doing a giveaway at the end of the stream, and you need to be on to claim your prize. So watch with us until the very end. And I have some amazing individuals with me. I've got Steve from IQ Workshop and Kostas from Ex Machina. And we have our eye in the sky, Alex. He's going to be watching the
Hey
chat,
guys.
controlling our windows, and we're grateful for him as well. So, Steve, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, your channel, and all that.
So my name's Steve. I host the IQ Workshop channel on YouTube. I am a maker from the UK. I'm a DIY hobbyist enthusiast. And I guess my mission statement is around inspiring new creators that don't necessarily have the time, the funds, the space to be able to create things to actually show that this can actually be done, from scratch. So I started my live streaming and sort of online presence in about 2015, 2016. And I started building a Delta printer from scratch, knowing absolutely nothing. And today I'm running reconditioned laser cutters, CNC, and a small 3D printing farm. So I'm pretty much all self-taught.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for joining us. For everyone, Steve has done projects that I didn't think would be humanly possible to do, the variety and the breadth and have all the knowledge for it. This guy amazes me just about every stream. I watched him fix some headphones. That was my favorite one. And we also have our black belt in Alibre. This guy amazes me with all the things that can be done in Alibre. We have Kostas from Ex Machina, and every new video is just a new way to do something in Alibre. Tell us a bit about yourself, Kostas.
Hello guys. So I started as a mechanical engineer. I went into mechatronics before I got my bachelor's. I fell in love with the field, and I continued on to my master's degree in robotics. In the meantime, I got a lot of experience working in CNC machine shops, doing everything from design to programming to even operating the machine. Uh, Straight out of school, I started working in some major companies as a mechanical engineer, but I ended up making my own company, my own engineering consultancy back in 2016 called Ex Machina Engineering, and I'm still at it. And around 2021, I started watching some videos from this guy called Joseph, who's showcasing Alibre, and it was really, really powerful, right? And I was using Fusion back then. Fusion has started hiking its prices. I'd hit a wall with a project, and I had a trial of Alibre, and I thought, well, if Fusion can do it, Alibre surely cannot. And I fired it up. Uh, I was fighting this design 5 days in Fusion. Alibre was done in about an hour, and it was a high paying project as well. So I haven't looked back since, and I've made a YouTube channel to share the knowledge about this beautiful software. So that's me.
Hey, thanks so much. I'm getting notifications left and right that our guest room is full, so don't give up. We're going to be taking questions, and as people cycle out, we'll get new people in. So when you're done asking your question, if we take you out of the chat, don't be offended. We're just trying to make room for new people. We have Banana Faction from Canada that we've been chatting with a little bit before the show. So Banana Faction, let's bring you in, and I think you're on with us now. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Hey, thanks for coming on. What can we do for you?
I would really just like to know if there are better approaches or in terms of making more organic shapes. I know there's a variety of different ways you can get the same thing done, but yeah, I guess that would be mainly my question. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that question, and I think organic shapes comes down often to lofting for me. I don't know how do you approach this, Costas?
Well, mostly lofting, but it depends on what you mean by organic shapes, right? If you make a loft, then by definition it can be defined mathematically, right? So it's not exactly sculpting, but I often find that like 99% of cases, lofting can get the job done, especially with a 3D sketch as a loft guide. You can do a lot with that, and it's not exactly an organic shapes, but we did have a user in the forum a while back who is making he's designing and he's casting in aluminium intakes, right, for Ford V8s no less, and he he had issues with the runners, and we helped him, and I'd like to think that I also helped a bit with lofts and 3D sketches as guides, and he got some pretty beautiful shapes. Changing the profile, changing the size as it goes. It was a beautiful result. And yeah, organic shapes. If you put in the time, you can get some really cool designs.
Definitely. Now, maybe we can switch to my screen share here. There we go.
Yeah.
So I have
good
Majora's
one.
Mask right here. If there are any Zelda fans, let's hear it all in the comments. I think Majora's Mask is one of the best games, but I think it's an example of something that's a little bit curvy, and I actually have a video on the Alibre channel of about 3 different ways to do this. I am going to pull up one in progress way here, and we can go through that. So often surfacing can be an aid to getting these kinds of organic designs. So here I create a solid using a loft, and we have a fillet. And of course, I have an image that I'm tracing around to try to get it right. And then I can just delete the back of this face, and it turns it into a surface, which is an infinitely thin reference, right? It's kind of like a plane or an axis. It's just acting as a reference. It's not in any way a finished product when it's a surface. And from here, I can extrude, say, the path around the eyes and turn that into a surface. So I've got 2 surfaces. We can trim out one, and that creates a 3-dimensional path along the edge of that surface. And from there, we can run a sweep or a loft that allows us a lot of flexibility in getting that 3-dimensional surface. So that's an approach. Again, lofting, like what Ex Machina said, is great as well. I don't know, Steve, you've done a lot of different platforms, I know. Anything come to mind for you?
The sort of I've struggled with organics in CAD, and typically I've moved over to a sculpting type tool set. So whether that be something like Blender, and there are many others, right? But yeah, for me personally, no, I've not done much in the way of organics because I find it very complex, and not really got a use case for it either at the moment.
I'm actually glad that you guys mentioned lofts, because that's how I've been doing it. The only thing that I would add doesn't necessarily make it transition well is that I remember I did loft this object that was and then I booleaned it to another one, so it was kind of like it wasn't a smooth transition into the other object, but I did use booleans as well, I guess. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, it looks like we have a very full waiting room. Perhaps we need to move on to the next one. Banana Faction, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, who else have we got, Alex?
We've got Bill Simmons. I can should be able to. Bill, if you'd like to ask your question, you should be able to speak now. Okay, I guess Bill Simmons does not have a question. We can go back to him if he wants to type in the chat or anything. We also have Doug Lewis. I will.
Hey, Doug, how's it going?
Well, we've got some questions in the chat, so I can start going through those if you guys want to address them. Is it possible to hide individual sketches in a model? I know you can hide all sketches, but that isn't helpful when the thing I want to reveal is itself a sketch.
Great question. As of right now, I don't think that's supported. I think it's an all or nothing. You can toggle it quickly with Control-Shift-K, but yeah, I don't know if you have anything on that, Costas, but I think it's just kind of all or nothing.
Yeah, well, individual sketches, if you haven't used them, I think you can hide them if you haven't used them, right? Oh, well, no, individual sketches, no. You either show your sketches or you don't. That's it. But generally speaking, I like to show my sketches, all of them, unless I'm showing to the design to a customer, or or a use case like that, because you get extra options available to you when you do, right? So I try to have them showing all the time, basically.
Perfect. Thanks. And I think I'm seeing another one here. Importing 2D sketch data from DXF or SVG files into a Libre sketch. What's the best format? Is it best to export a file from CorelDRAW or Photoshop? I'm not well versed in that one. Have you done many imports?
So for me, coming at it from a hobbyist perspective, the way I have found this to be the easiest is DXF. Sometimes with CorelDRAW, you don't necessarily get the definition of a curve or an arc properly because it's a series of straight lines, and they can actually be fragmented, and that can cause a lot of issues further down the pipeline where the DXF is fully defined. I believe it's also got dimensions encoded into the drawing as well. Whereas, so for example, an SVG will give you the outlines as vectors, but there's not necessarily a unit of measure in it, where a DXF carries that through.
Perfect.
Can I just offer an opinion here? If you want to import from SVG, I use Inkscape, which is a completely free tool, and it's surprisingly powerful. I wouldn't say it's the easiest one to use, but it's not far off CorelDRAW. And I even have a video on my Escape the CAD Overlords series. It's the very first one on how to do a UV unwrap, right? With Blender, and then get that into Libre and get the 3D model out of it. And there I use Inkscape to get I think a DXF, but you can also use it for an SVG. Really, really nice tool. I've spent some time with it and I love it.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and just to add to Costa's point, I use Inkscape because I've one of the laser cutters that I refurbished, I'm hardware locked to the software that drives it because of the controller. So this software looks like it's out of 1995. And if I try to export a modern day DXF file to it, it just does not like it at all. And Inkscape has the capability of giving you various different DXF formats from different time periods. So it's as Costas has said, it's a really powerful tool, and it's open source and free to get.
Perfect. Yep. I see Patrick is on the chat with us. Patrick, can we bring you in? Let's give you director's voice here. All right, Patrick, you're on with us. We might be having some microphone issues or something.
That's kind of what I'm trying to figure out. I'm not entirely sure. I just saw his video feed, but
yeah.
Well, we do have some more questions in the chat, so we can pop those up until we hear from him.
We'll keep working on that. And Bill, I'm going to unmute you as well, just in case we can hear you now. After you copy an item, can you paste it to a predefined location? If yes, can you show how it is done? Yeah, copy and pasting sketches. I know I've duplicated sketches before. It's been a long time, so I can go try that right now. I don't know if anybody else on here has any suggestions.
Well, I love the paste stamper. I know you've done a pretty interesting video with that, Joseph. Really nice one. But yeah, paste stamper is really, really great tool. And you can even, if you have a sketch, a complete sketch, right, that you need to apply many times over different parts, a catalog feature is a great tool as well, right? So you can save the entire sketch and then insert it in multiple parts, and it gives you a single reference point, and you can put it exactly where you want. And after the fact, you can still constrain any degrees of freedom of movement you might have in that sketch. Great tool, catalog features. But yeah, if you just want some copy and paste stamper works great. And of course, the normal paste as well.
Now, do you have that handy? We can share your screen, Kostas, if it's available.
What would you like me to show?
Do you have the paste stamper up?
No, but I can definitely get something going.
Yeah, let's grab it if that's okay. That'd be cool to show.
Let me share my screen then. Because I haven't shared my screen, I think. Oh, man. Give me a second, guys.
Sure thing. Yeah, this is what it's all about.
Found it. Oh, there you go. It's right in front of me. So share my screen. I'll do it on screen number 2, so we don't get an infinite, But yeah, so let's bring in something from the library, actually. Let's insert a catalog feature. Can we do that?
Yeah, we should be able to.
Maybe not in an empty sketch. Oh, yeah, there you go. So let's put it in this plane, and let's import. What should we import? I've boring keyway. So this, for example, right, is a sketch that it's a board and a keyway, right? And you can change the board, you can change the keyway. Catalog features also bring in their own parameters, so really, really useful. But let's say that I just want to copy this entire thing. I hit Control-A, select everything, and then I go and copy with base point, right? And now I can right-click and hit the, oh, wait, sorry. So right-click, copy with base point, right? And I select the base point. Let's select the center. And now I can use the paste stamper. So now, if I have something defined in my sketch, and I want to put this piece exactly on it, I can. So if I want to put it exactly on this point, there you go. Then exactly on this point, and you see how it's going. It's a weird Audi logo. But yeah, that's how you do it. You select what you want to select. You right-click, copy with base point, and then you get access to the paste stamper, and you paste stamp as many times as you want.
Is that something that's transferable to a brand new sketch, or is it only in the sketch that you're working with?
I think it is. I think it is. Let's check that. I think it is. So if I right-click and copy with base point, and I select this base point, right? And let's get another sketch going. And now paste stamper. There you go.
Yeah,
it's transferable. Cool. Yeah, I think I wasn't 100% sure, but yeah, I thought it was, and it is. So yeah.
Thanks for doing that, Kostas, because I was not recent with that, and you just remembered it right off the bat. So Kostas saves the day. Bill Simmons is still on with us. We should have your audio coming through. I don't know if we can hear you, Bill.
By the way, the question that is currently up on screen, I think we just answered it with the insert catalog feature that I just did, right?
Absolutely. All right. Well, if you're able to either talk to us in the chat, Bill, or I don't know if there's a new microphone you can try, but we'd love to hear from you when you have a sec. And our guest room is now has some space. So if anybody wants to join us at the join link in the description, feel free. Is there an... we did that one. After making a change to a component in an assembly, is it possible to update the assembly without closing and reopening the assembly? Yes. Let me pull up an assembly and share my screen. Just have to find a good assembly here. Okay. So switching to my screen now, it should be coming up. Takes a second to load these assemblies. I have a suspension assembly here that we should be able to get something edited and then updated right in the middle of our assembly. And that's a good question. Okay, this is taking longer than I thought.
Is there any low-hanging fruit questions that we can fill with just while we wait for these files to open?
I am pretty proficient in Alibre, well over 100 projects, but I could never figure out 3D printing. Any chance of some new help videos? That is a great question. Let me open up a slicer here.
Be interesting to know what specifically you're having challenges with.
But Joseph, I think he's asking about 3D piping.
Oh, piping! I misread that. I've got
because I've got an answer right below.
The comments are as far back as I can get. 3D piping.
Yeah, but I know that's how I've set it up too.
Yeah, well,
that was a good spot.
I know Stratco gave me permission to share some of the 140 assemblies, and I don't know if you have that one handy. Do you want to go through that one, Kostas, or do you want me to take it?
It'll take a while to fire up on my side. If you want, I can.
Sure. No, I'll grab it here. I just have to boot out Alibre, and this is an assembly, so this will be good for.
I'm firing it up as well in case you have an issue.
Thanks. Yeah, I just have to find that assembly here. You never know what's going to get asked, so you don't know what assemblies to pull up.
Yeah. That's true, and you can't have everything up because.
Yeah. All right, it's coming up now. It's a big assembly, so it'll take a second, but probably faster than that strange wheel assembly that I was going to pull up. Okay, so when it comes to making things in assemblies, as this comes up, the basic idea is we have parts and that we can edit right in the context of our assembly. That can update instantly without needing to show. So in reference to our first question right here, I can say edit here. And then we're still in the assembly. and I think we still might be loading the assembly because it's so big. So when this catches up with me, we're going to see that we're going to still be in the assembly, but we have our individual part right here. There it goes. And we have the complete tree to our part, which in this case is an imported step file. But if I want to make a change to this part, maybe add a simple extrusion. And again, I'm running way ahead of this getting loaded, so it's taking just a sec. But we'll be able to see that we'll be able to edit this. There it goes. Once again, if I were to wait for this to load, it would work a lot faster. But if I want to add something, make a change, and then we'll make an extrude, right? Just to change this part, we can see that we're able to make this change. And when we're done making that individual part, it goes right back to our main top level assembly. So this is known as a Stratco contactor. If you're in the lubricating grease industry, Stratco is a big name, and they're definitely worth checking out. As far as our next question, right here, 3D piping. Once again, I can grab a pipe. I can even edit this pipe here. It's great to be able to do 3D piping in the context of an assembly, like what we've just done. I've made a 3D sketch, and I've made a point right, like this kind of node here, and I constrained it, right to the entrance of there. And then I've created lines that are parallel to elements of my assembly, right? Like this edge I've made parallel to this line and so on, so that I was able to define the 3D sketch to the start and end of where it's going. And now if I edit this pump, if I go back to my main assembly here and I show this part, I have distances that I can say, maybe I'd like this to be 18 centimeters. And as I make this adjustment here, we can get these 3D sketches to update right in the context of how things change. So I don't need to update the 3D pipes manually. They can be updated right in the context of the assembly. Hopefully that answers your question.
Joseph, can I just ask something as a follow-up? Would I be correct in thinking that this technique could also be used for a smaller project like wiring on an electronics board, or if you've got like an assembly that's incorporating a circuit board and you need to run wires, you could use this 3D sketch to map out where the cables would be going?
Yes, I think that absolutely works. In fact, this kind of model and context approach is great anytime you have part A and part B, and you need to make a change and you need something to update automatically. So whether we're talking about 3D pipes, wires, even if you have like an adapter between two parts that you want to keep up when you change things, I think it all works out. So hopefully that answers your question. And in terms of help video, I can stick that on my list for 3D piping videos. I think I've gotten another question of that doing a webinar. So
before we go any further, is Joseph breaking up for everybody else, or is it just me?
No, I've got him loud and clear. I have him loud and clear. So
okay, cool. Just me then.
Hopefully it's good on the stream too. Thanks for stopping me there. Now it looks like we have Ian on the line. So Ian, let's bring you in. Can you hear us? And hopefully we can hear you. We've had some trouble with live guests. Not hearing from Ian. No, we're going to leave your audio on, Ian. Feel free to talk to us. I don't know if it's a microphone issue or what. We were hearing the banana guy really clearly. So, all right, jump in and talk to us, Ian. If your microphone is working, or let us know in the chat if you have anything. What's our next one here? Is it thanks, Alex. Is it possible to move a sketch to a different plane or surface? Currently, no. If you do have one that you know you're going to want to move, I'd suggest making a plane especially for that sketch, and then you can redefine the position of that plane as needed, and that sketch will go with it. So that would be our approach for that. I love the idea of having that feature, though, and I'd love to see that where we can redefine the sketch plane.
Joseph,
Yes.
as another solution, could you use the stamper tool that we just talked about just a moment ago to copy the sketch onto a different plane?
Oh, that's delicious. Yes, I believe you're right. That would work too. And this is why we have Steve on the broadcast, because that is a great idea. Absolutely. Hi, when would be a good example? The datum line be used. I've only used datum planes. That is a great example. So I was just answering a question on the Alibre forum of a user. This was a user that was using Alibre Atom, and I have to go chase down that model. But when you go to design stuff, in fact, I can bring this up here. So in our Alibre forum, under general discussion, we have Atom 3D Sketch workaround. And he's asking, hey, how can I make sweeps? And so let's, of course, I have to sign in here. He's asking, how can I make 3D sweeps in Alibre Atom, which doesn't have 3D sketches? Professional Expert has 3D sketches, but not Alibre Atom. And that's a great use for a datum line. So I'm just going to grab this here. I don't know, Kostas, can you think of any good ways to use datum lines or axes in Alibre while I grab this?
Well, so I've got this video on my channel, right? And I've named it Parametric Burnouts or something. And basically I show a variable linear pattern, right? So every instance has a different length, and how to do that with Alibre. And that is a datum line, right? A reference axis, in fact, that is based on a sketch, and it updates along with the sketch. And then a plane is defined by that reference axis. So the plane is now parametrically tied to that sketch. And that plane is the end of the variable length instances. And it gives a great result. And yeah, that's a very powerful use case for reference axes or datum lines, as I mentioned here, because they can be parametrically tied to sketch entities, and they can change along with the sketch. So really powerful stuff there.
Yeah, thanks. This is my part that I was finally able to bring up. So this is a 3D sketch made in Alibre Atom. And as we roll this tree back, I'll show my planes here. So we make a 2D sweep, and then when I create an axis or a datum line going right down the middle of that pipe, I can make a plane based off of that. And I can say, oh, I'll make a new plane that's at a particular angle around this sketch line. And then I can create a sweep on that new plane. And then I'll create another plane, right? I'll create another axis running down that, rotate a plane around that axis. So when we go to make a plane here, we can say there's our axis, and I want my plane to be 42 degrees offset from my sketch plane to make my next sweep. And so we can make these organic 3D sweeps off of these datum lines. So it's a great reference. You can also use them as revolve axes. So anytime you need reference geometry, maybe an axis or a datum line is something that you'd need. Hopefully that answers your question. And again, thank you so much for asking. Hello from Sandy in Beamsville, Ontario, Canada. Oh, great to have a Canadian with us. I couldn't find a way to copy multiple part files at the same time in Alibre 3D. I had to copy those one by one. That's a great question. So is that saying that we need to duplicate files and then make different versions of them? I think that's what's being asked. Feel free to leave us another comment. Oops, I think I just showed the wrong thing here. Okay, so if you need to make multiple copies of the same part file, I mean, there is always the save as. And in terms of Alibre 3D, if you're in Alibre Expert, you also have these configurations where you can make those copies right in the middle of your part file. So one of the benefits of having Expert, and I actually have in PDM here an assembly where I can show that, is that you can make different versions of your parts and assemblies and even your global variables. And so here I have a new version of my assembly where I have a different number of slices in my Apple slicer. We add curved edges where the previous one was smooth hand grips and so on. And so configurations is a great way to make many different versions of your part very quickly, also with global variables. Again, feel free to ask us a follow-up question if I didn't answer that completely. So hopefully that's good. And then this is Patrick in Extrude or any editing window. How can I change the arrow buttons step resolution? Great question. Let's jump in here to system options. And there should be some spinner increments in here. I don't know. I'm a little bit rusty on this one, but I have changed those increments before. Jump in if you remember, Costas.
I don't, because I never use them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll find that.
There it is, spinner increment. So this will be every time you increment something, it'll go 0.1 inches. Maybe I'll make it really small. Oh, except I probably need to be in a part file. So let's make a part file real quick.
Yeah.
So when I go to extrude this, this is jumping at just those 0.1 increments, right? And then if I go to not options, but rather properties. No, I keep clicking the wrong thing. File, properties. We'll go to under units. We have spinner increment. So I'll make that really small. Oh, it's not letting me. Oh, there it goes. Apply. And then extrude. And now, if you can tell, I am able to do this at a very fine resolution. So it's just under properties, spinner increment, properties, units, spinner increment. We'll be able to get that. Yep, let me know if that answers your question. Thank you for asking. And let's go on the next one here. Oh, this is so great to have an eye in the sky where these comments just come out of the woodwork. I love it. I'm using Alibre 3D. Is it possible to copy and paste multiple part files from a folder to a different one all at the same time? I could do that and had to copy those one by one. Okay. Copy and paste multiple part files from a folder to a different one.
Is this talking about reusing parts that you've already used in one project to another? That seems to be the gist of this question.
We should be able to here. As far as I can tell, we would just jump into. Sorry, pulling up some part files in my Explorer window here. I mean, you should be able to just grab a part file, make a new folder, or go to whatever folder you'd like, and then paste it in, and it should work. And then for multiple files, right, you can hold Control C, Control V, and then do multiple files. So hopefully that is what you're looking for. Let me know if we're still not doing it, but you should be able to just use the Control key, select multiple files, and then paste them in. Is Libre has the possibility to create axle for hole in 2D drawing environment. Okay, yes, let's talk about that. So, again, if you have anything to say, Kostas, don't let me take the limelight. But let's say that I have the hole here.
I am 99% sure you're going to say the exact same thing that I've also.
Awesome. We can say send to and make a drawing. And some of this is license tied, so I'm not sure if this is going to be in a Libre Atom. And if it's not in Atom 3D, I'll talk about how we can do this in Atom 3D. But when we go to insert views of this part, we can go to more options, and we can choose, say, hole callouts, thread callouts, center mark, center lines, right? And when we choose a hole center mark, we get that nice crosshair that points out where the center axis is. Now, if I get rid of that and we're in Atom and we don't have it, what I can do is create a sketch in our view, and we can choose our own line. Yep, and then just put it right there for now. I can make another line right there, and we can start to construct our own center line. So I'll make this horizontal, right? We're adding sketch constraints just like we would in any other platform, or in any other 2D sketch, I should say. Yep. And then there we can take our center and make it concentric. So if you're in Atom, we can build these kinds of callouts all by ourselves. And then, of course, we can go to our layer and make that something like a dotted layer for all of our sketch elements. And yep, just make all those dash. So hopefully that answers your question to get those center axis callouts for 2D drawing environments. And then over here, of course, our axis is showing. But we can also create a sketch in Atom and show axes from the side as well. So hopefully that's a good answer to the question. Feel free to follow up if we can answer it further. And what's our next one here? I'm using version 23. One of my frustrations coming from SOLIDWORKS is that when I project a sketch, the sketch is not fully constrained to the source. I have to manually constrain it. Yes. Again, if you want to jump in on this one, Kostas, feel free, or I could take it. I don't want to hog the limelight.
So I came aboard on version 24, but generally when projecting to sketch, either from the quick menu that comes up or from the actual menu, which I think the default, that one, the default shortcut key is Shift P. You just click maintain association to source entity, right? And then when your source entity changes, it'll just follow along. And it's really, really useful, if I'm honest here.
Definitely. So hopefully that answers your question. I don't know if I've been in V23 or not, but as I move this circle, you could tell the sketch just keeps up with it. If that option isn't available, then I would probably just suggest update. But otherwise, click maintain association, and things keep up and stay updated that way.
If I can just jump in here, I seem to remember some legacy tutorials up on the Libre official channel. And they do show maintain association, so it has been a thing for quite a while. I think it should be available in V23, unless we are missing the point here. Which, if we are, you're very welcome to follow up with another question.
Thank you. Can you change the planes example you made on a model starting on XY plane? Yeah, good question. So can you change the planes example you made on a model? You made a model starting on XY plane, but would like the XY plane. Yes. So a few things. If we're talking about a sketch, and you want to change the plane of the sketch, paste stamper, and the other ones, copy paste and all that would work. If we're talking about wanting to rotate the part, I think that's what this question is getting at. There's a few ways to do it, and if you are with expert or professional and you need to rotate, one easy way to do it that keeps it cleanly in one part file is to go to the surfacing tab and make this into a surface. So we convert solid into a surface, and then we can do our rotations or whatever we would like to do. And here I'll specify an axis and say rotate it 90 degrees around that axis. And there we were able to reorient it around a different plane quite easily. That's an option. Another thing is you can make an O, and of course, I'll split one face off of this and then stitch it back into a surface. When we stitch something into a surface, if we have multiple surfaces that are coming into a solid, I believe we just get the best behavior out of it. So there's our solid again, rotated part. So that's a great way to rotate parts, but you can also create an assembly, rotate it in an assembly, and then save that assembly out as a part. So multiple options to be able to reorient those parts. And I think we talked through a lot about changing the sketch plane for a sketch. Hopefully that answers your question. Let us know.
Joseph is the absolute master of surfaces in Alibre, isn't he? I just have to say that because I'm in awe of him every time he uses surfaces. I just have to say that.
Well, thank you. Costas is also the king of just doing the most amazing things in Alibre, things that I never thought of. And
yeah, well,
and of course, Steve gets a lot of credit here too, because Steve does things in real life, not just digitally. And
Steve is the real, yeah. That's true.
I'm looking at Steve like, how can you just get some random potentiometer and fix these headphones and know that it's going to work, or build a 3D printer, or I don't know. Steve gets a lot of credit.
Oh, shucks, guys.
No, it's true, man. It's true. The 3D printer videos are the ones that I like the most. I haven't checked out the headphones one. I will.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys haven't subscribed to IQ Workshop, man, give this a subscribe,
guys,
because the projects are just amazing. And it's like a story too. I am right there with Steve in the UK, just watching this happen. And when those headphones started working, or when XYZ starts working, I am just like right there enthralling. So it's great stuff. I think we had a question. It went away. Is it possible to group features? Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. Do you guys have anything on that one?
Configurations?
Yeah, that would probably be mine too. So quick run through on configurations. I think this is an expert feature. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Might be in professional.
I think it's been professional as well, yeah.
I'm just going to make a few different features here. Yeah, it might be in professional, but yeah, if you have a configuration, and I'll create config 2 out of it, and I suppress a few things, then I switch back to my other configuration. Boom, right there. We can instantly suppress or unsuppress. We can also have grouped dimensions, and so things of different lengths can be all grouped together, and I can have one group of a length of 5, another group of a length of 10, and so on. So that could be real handy. We can do colors, materials, properties, and so on. And so hopefully, I think that's the best solution. Hopefully that works for you. Will Libre allow vector files to be used in the future, so a vector file can be used directly to create the extrude emboss logo? That is a great thing. I've got that on my list of new features. It's hard to know what new features are going to be when, because there's a big evaluation of how important is this new feature, how many does this impact, what can we develop and maintain, and so on. So new features are a huge internal discussion, but that's something that I'd love to see, because vector files are really interesting. So I'm going to say eventually, but I don't know when. So yeah, I wish I had a clearer answer. When we get in a Libre module like FreeCAD call fasteners. I'm liking this question. I don't know. Do you want to share your screen, Steve or Kostas, or do you want me to take this one?
I can't do it right now. You need to take it. But I love the fastener add-on in FreeCAD. However, well, the fastener. Can I? Okay, so I'll hog the time. There's an add-on in FreeCAD called Fasteners, and it works better than any other CAD ever. However, in Alibre, you can set up a fastener library so many different ways, and it's so fast to generate them and add them that I don't think it's lacking in any meaningful way.
Yeah. As of right now, we do have our cosmetic threads that we can add, but in one of our recent features, I can say, maybe I want an ANSI fine thread, and I click the box for modeled, and I can make a fastener pretty easily. So this is a really good way of doing it, because we have the nominal thread, but we also can say, this is our center of the line regular production thread. And if I'm 3D printing and I want it to be a bit loose, this is the min material, or the loosest tolerance that you can have as specified by ANSI. You can tell there's less material there. Or if you want a tight fit that maybe you want to post-process a little bit, you can go to the max material condition as well. So that is a way to do it. Now, if I open up a Libre toolbox, or I guess an assembly to get to toolbox here. So here's a blank assembly. My Libre windows are stacking up. We also, like Costa said, can make our own libraries. And by the way, there's a spreadsheet that you can edit and make your own custom threads for that thread tool that you just saw. So you can have your own custom threads, your own custom tolerances, your own variations of standard threads for 3D printing if you like to do that. But we have a fastener library in here with a socket head cap screw. And I also actually modeled the bolt from scratch. And so if I want to insert a bolt into an assembly, I can have, a number of designations and watch it update in real time and be able to have that. So I think that's about as close as we come to fasteners. Let us know in the comments if you think that's a good solution. We'd be interested to see. And I've used that FreeCAD fasteners thing as well. It is a great tool.
Yep.
And if anybody has any general questions about a project, like I want to add electronics to this, or I want to make that, we've got one of the best project guys I've ever seen on the line. So hopefully we can get some general project questions in as well. Small challenge. How can I open my drawing from my part assembly view? Are the drawing and part assemblies linked with each other? Yes. So drawings and parts do get linked. If you change your part, it will update in the drawing, and that's an important link to be able to have. I don't think you can do this in Atom, but if you go to Pro or Expert, we can say send to and just make a drawing of the design. But as far as if you have an existing drawing and opening it, I think you just have to chase down the file. Correct me if I'm wrong.
And can I just say here? Can I just bring everyone's attention to a comment in the live chat by a certain Max Freeman 9218. Watch this space, guys. Watch this space.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, we got 9218. I can't find the comment, but I bet it's a good one.
Yeah, well, Max Freeman then says, steel frame design beta should ship concurrently with V29. Smiley face.
Yes.
There you go.
That's a good thing to add.
There you go.
Well, thank you, Max. And
Yep.
wow, we have so many questions. I am just loving this.
There you go.
Libre for Linux, please. I wouldn't be sad to see that either.
Yep.
So when it and sorry, Alex, I think I might have taken the comments out of order. So feel free to restore the order on that. When in an assembly, you have a part with multiple configurations, and you right-click a part and edit in a new window. Is there a way for it to open on that configuration instead of the last edited configuration? That is a great question. I don't know if there is.
I don't think there is one either.
Yeah. Well, go to the home screen, and I have to be careful on this. Under Explore, I believe there is a suggest a feature. Go ahead and, yeah, suggest a feature right there. Go ahead and suggest that feature so that I have that documented. I'd appreciate that. And then do we have any other questions, Alex? How can I quickly define offset sketch? Using thin extrude is not the solution.
Yeah.
That's actually a really creative way to do an offset. I'm actually really impressed, even though it's not the solution.
It is, isn't it? And that coupled with your method, Joseph, for multi-body modeling, so you can just make everything a surface, do that thin extrude, offset your sketch parametrically, mind you. So cuddle tops, I think you just first of all answered your question, then secondly gave us all a new tool for our toolbox. But you make everything a surface, you thin extrude, you project the edge parametrically now, make that one a surface, hide it, and solidify the previous model.
That'd be great. I'm just doing the quick sketch offset, right? That's an option, but I don't know. I still have your screen share, Kostas. I don't know if you want to demonstrate that or not. And it looks like we have Ian ready to go, so we'll get to Ian after that. But are you able to show that?
So right now in live chat, Bruce Hain asked a question, which is going to be in one of my next videos. But I'll give you a preview here. Yeah, let's try and do that in extrude thing, right? Let's see if that'll work. And I've got that huge file open, but okay, so thin extrude, right? So the thing with a sketch in Alibre, let's do this, right? And it's been a request, so I think it's in the works. When you offset a sketch, oh, there you go. So if I select these figures to offset, right, I can offset them. I can flip direction, all that. But the problem is that the sketch that is generated is not parametric. It's not tied to the original one, right? So what Cuddletops said is perhaps we give it a different approach. So let's go to surface and let's convert the solid to surface, right? It's going to take a while. Okay. And then I'll go and do my slot here, and let's say 1.5 by 0.5, and then we'll put it in the middle here. And I think I've got, I've got this on a shortcut. So let's do here 0.1. Now that's the midplane. Okay. So now we can come in here, and I'm going to use my imprint trick, which I've shown in another video, but just for time's sake, I will do a chain select I will convert this into a geometry line. Okay. And then, how does that work? Will it understand it's a different surface? I think it will. Let's see. So if I go under surfaces now, it should have two surfaces. Yes, and I can hide that one, right? And then I will split one face off, like Joseph suggests, and then I will stitch it back into a solid. So I'll stitch these two back into a solid. My stitch to solid. So the thing is, now I've got this sketch here, sketch 5, and I should have it parametrically linked to that thin extrude, which was what? Extrude 7. So if I change this to 0.175, this should change as well. Let's see. There you go. That's a cool workaround, isn't it? That's cool, actually. Right? And you can see that now the distance here is actually 0.175, not 0.1 as it was before. So there's your... Okay, Cuddle Tops, with your question, I don't know if this answers your question, but with your question, you just added a new tool to my tool set. And this is going in my next tips and tricks video. So thank you so much for that. If it didn't answer your question, I'm sorry, but it's a great new way of offsetting sketches. So yeah.
Now we have Ian on the line, and for any commenters, I want some questions for Steve. So who's got questions about 3D printing, CNC, electronics, all of that stuff? Because we have one of the best resources here for general projects, and we got to use them. And let's show Ian. I see Ian on the stream. Are you able to talk to us? We should be able to hear you. Yes, we got one.
So you got a live one, huh? So my question is, and I don't know if it's relevant here, in the past I have scanned vehicles and then wanted to design bits that fit in the vehicle. So I used a basic scan as the space I could work in, for instance, a wheel arch. And then I'm building suspension that fits inside the wheel arch. And so the surface I used was not part of the model. It was just a reference. I found it incredibly labor intensive and things to get the surface to become a 3D part, but I found it a very good template to make sure the suspension didn't bash into parts of the car. And I wonder whether there's a best practice to do this now, because I think that facility went away a long time ago.
That's a good question. I don't know. Do you have any ideas, Kostas?
Well, the only thing I can think of is, first of all, it heavily depends on the output of the scanner, right? If the scanner can give you an STL surface, well, and then it depends, is it an STL or an OBJ, and is it triangulated surface or quadratic surfaces? But in any case, you can import that surface into Alibre with from the surface menu. And I think that's professional and expert only. We should mention this.
Yes, I have that.
Yeah, and then you thicken it, and then it's a 3D part. And you can do all sorts of things with it. You can check for interferences if it's really close. But, by thickening it and making it into a 3D part, and then, maybe making an assembly and bringing this in as the first anchored part, and then a top-down design, that will give you, first of all, the interference tool.
Yeah.
Which, and a few other tools. that's how I would do it. It does depend though on the application. I mean, on the specific design, I would think.
Okay. I'll have another
And
look at it. At one point, it seemed to go away, that facility, to import the STL file.
It did. Yeah, I don't know all the issues behind it, but there was something. So there is also.
Okay, so
go ahead.
Can I just jump in again? Sorry.
Yep.
Sometimes I speak a bit too quickly. Right now, you can, Alibre out of the box, you cannot import an S. However, I do have a video up on how to import, from SolidWorks, Solid Edge, and neutral files, and that includes STL. It's importing STL is based on a macro, a script that Nate Liquid Gravity made in the forums, and it's really easy to implement, and I show it in the video. And what that does is it takes an STL, transforms it into a step file. There you go. Yeah, that one. Transforms it into a step file and brings it in. The problem with that is I am not sure, Joseph, you might have some better insight on this. If it is a single surface, like the ones you get out of 3D printer, if it can do it, if it's not a watertight model, if it'll work.
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't tried it with a non-watertight model. In fact, I haven't tried this before. I just installed it. But this is a pretty good solution.
Yeah. Again, 3D scanners are notoriously difficult to work with. It's not a trivial question.
Yeah,
maybe you need to take it through Blender.
Yeah,
take it through Blender, thicken it.
Yeah, I had very good success with it at one time using the Microsoft Kinect scan mechanism.
That's a great tool.
And I used some really, really expensive scanners but they didn't work as well because the files were so enormous that you couldn't really manipulate them. And this was working very well. And then I think that facility went away. Maybe it could come back.
Yeah, we're hoping
Kinect
for it.
was amazing. Yeah, they made it for Xbox, to play games with, but it was an amazing research tool. We did so much research in my master's degree in robotics with Kinect because the way it works, really quickly for people who are interested, it projects an infrared grid and reads the distortion off of it, but it doesn't only do that. It also has a LiDAR. Right, and it gets the depth data both from the IR grid and the LiDAR, and it cross-references it, and it gets amazing, accuracy with relatively cheap sensors.
Yeah,
maybe that's why that facility went away, because the scanner companies were complaining of this, $300 toy that was working better than a $2,000 3D scanner.
So this is one example. I just
okay. Thank you.
I
think you've answered my question for now.
100%. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is an example of just something where I imported a surface and modeled around that surface to make a parametric solid for a Toyota Supra, my personal favorite. So let's do a raffle. And then I see a question for Steve and I see Bill Simmons, but I don't want to keep everyone on indefinitely. So we'll do a raffle and then we'll keep taking some questions. Are we ready for our winner? Okay.
Let's go. Let's see who it is.
Here we go. Banana Faction. Wow.
No.
Is Banana Faction still with us? Claim your
Congrats, Banana Faction.
Yeah. What's the raffle prize?
Yep, I see Banana Faction right there. Commented a few minutes ago. So Banana Faction, leave us a comment and send an email to joseph@alibre.com and we'll take care of you. All right, so I see a question for Steve. So not sure if it's Alibre specific or not, but how do you approach multicolor printing or specifying which parts of your 3D model that get color?
So that's a really good question. So there's a couple of different ways that you can approach this. So if you have, let's say, for example, you have a sculpture of a character, and you want clothing to be different colors, you want the pupils of the eyes to be different colors, and so on. You can the slicer itself will be able to paint the color that you want, and you can assign that paint to a particular filament. And essentially your machine will then either instruct you to do a color change manually, or if you have an AMS system, an automatic color system, it will change the color for you. The other approach would be that you have multiple STL files that you can then define the colors to. So, for example, if you bring part A and part B and you have them aligned correctly in the slicer, essentially just right click that part. So say, for example, Orca Slicer, you can then select a particular filament to that STL file. So this is all done within the constraints of the slicing software that you're using. So there may be features over and above what I've mentioned, depending on the version you're using. There might be features that your slicer doesn't do. So you need to kind of find the feel for what your slicer is capable of. But yeah, that's pretty much how I would approach multicolor.
Fantastic. Alex, let me know if you see any other questions for Steve. Do we have another question here? We might have lost Alex for a second.
The joys of live streaming.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good question. Is it possible to center constrain two parts in an assembly, like a tab into a slot? I've created planes and constrained them. The problem is when there's no center, like distance. Yeah, distance isn't a nice number.
That's an interesting one. There's a workaround.
Yeah, I think you did a good video about those slide ones. I don't know if you're able to cover that right now, Kostas, but that was a good answer.
Well, first of all, if you have any sort of edge that spans the distance between the two planes that you wanna constrain between, you can very quickly create a plane on the middle of that edge, right? You create a point, you select the edge. The default thing that comes up is a point at 0.5 the total length of the edge, so the middle of the edge. And then if you select that point and that edge in the plane creation menu, you're met with two options. And if you click the lower one, which is normal to axis or edge, you will get a plane that goes through that point, normal to that edge. In most cases, that's enough. But if you don't have a 3D geometry like that, you can very easily create an axis through a sketch, and we haven't shown that. I'm not sure we've shown that, but you can create an axis that is perpendicular to the sketch plane you're actually working on, and if you guys could. You could just give me the you could just So let's say I've got this line, right? This tool can insert a reference axis from the sketch entities, right? So normally you would select a line and you would get an axis along that line. But what you can actually do is you can select a point. And if you see here, it says method of creation, sketch point plane normal, right? If I apply that and then get out of the sketch, you see this is my sketch and this is now axis 1, right? So then I can just create a plane from that axis. I select that and that one, angle 0, and there you go. I have a plane now which I can use to assemble stuff. That's how I would do it. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thanks. I've got a question for Steve. Can I ask a question? So I am 3D printing a server right now. Maybe I'll switch my views here. So it's going to be a 5-bay server. I've got 4 bays printed right now. Got fans and I got a ITX power supply. And I'm going to be powering the server with our Orange Pi 5 Plus board. My question is, what is the best way to do the pulse width modulation to control fan speed? Because right now I have the power going to it and the fans are just 100% on, but I know I could probably use the GPIO pins to control the fan speed.
There's a number of different ways you can slice that. So there's the obvious this PWM fan controllers that you could incorporate as a separate module, right? But that's additional space and cost that you're going to need to outlay to get a fan controller. I would imagine you could also do a small microcontroller, like an Arduino type of an affair that you can get let's think the Arduino Pro Micros. There are some really small Arduino modules that you can get. There's also the Raspberry Pi 2040 that you could use and write a bit of MicroPython to control that. But if you've got access to the GPIO headers, there's probably a routine that you could write for the Orange Pi that would start up at boot time, that would monitor your CPU temperature and you'd be able to create like a fan curve. Now, it's not a project that I've taken on myself, but the first thing that I would look to do is look for a project that has this incorporated. Typically, people like to document these projects on places like GitHub, and they will give you like a little piece of code that you can drag onto your device and define the sort of data points, whether it's the CPU thermistor that it's going to be checking and what GPIO pin headers you're going to use to control it, and then get that to start at runtime, at boot time. And that will then create your fan curve. But that's how it. See, the problem with me is I like to do things as educational sort of experiments. So I probably find the most complicated ways of doing the simplest things, just to figure out how to do it. So for me, I probably go the Arduino route, but that's just me.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really helpful. I should probably look into those. I was thinking there's going to be some kind of smart control thing I can put on the board. It's going to be running a headless Armbian, and there's going to be something where you can just have that monitoring, but a separate module might be really handy. So I'll look into it.
And it kind of, if you have a software failure and you're really dependent on that fan curve being like operational, if for some reason that crashes, you can get a thermal runaway, thermal throttling, and then you get all sorts of issues. Where if it's a standalone unit, it's independent of everything else that's going on.
Thanks. I see Bill Simmons has been waiting so patiently. I don't know if you can hear us, Bill, but you are on if you have audio. Oh, still nothing. All right. One thing from Bill Black, Arduino Nano will solve the fan problem. I'm so glad. We have the best community people here. And then one other thing from Bill Black that I loved, a suggestion that Libre point out their advertising or so on the website, how useful Libre can be for doing additive manufacturing. And it looks like the full comment isn't going to show for space. Maybe I can stretch it out, but no. Okay. Anyway, he's just talking about how awesome a Libre is, so I have to show it. Now, Steve, I know it might be getting late at night there, so if you have to go, don't feel like you have to stay with us, but we'd love to have you as long as we've got you for.
We're cool, man. We're cool.
Yeah, all good. All good.
All good here. Don't worry about it.
And our eye in the sky, Alex, might have to go. So thank you so much for helping us out, Alex, and I hope we can fare without you. I don't want to leave so many unanswered questions.
Of course, guys, you'll do just great. You've been doing great so far. If you look in the starred section, those are all the questions that have not been answered as of yet.
Oh, we're so grateful for you, Alex. Thank you. That makes it easy for us. And again, Alex is not on the screen. You can't see him, but he does such a great job at changing the screen, handling the questions. And so we're grateful to have a producer and a business analyst in Alex.
Awesome, guys. Great job, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I'll see y'all soon.
Take care, Alex. Yeah, so just for Bill Black and for you, Joseph, you know, we got an Arduino Nano, we've got an ESP8266. If you want to make it Wi-Fi,
there you go.
I got some ESP32 modules here, right? So there are plenty of things in the ecosystem. An ESP32, for example, is totally overpowered for what we're talking about, but for $3, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Who cares if it's overpowered, right?
Yes, that's the thing. And I was looking at, I was discussing a project with a customer, and he wants to retrofit a CNC, right? A lathe into a CNC.
Yep.
And I did some research, and I came across Fluid NC, which I know you know, but still on the ESP32. I mean, it's come a long way. It has. It's really impressive stuff.
So they've got there's an ESP230. It's an ESP32 version of the Gerbil firmware.
Gerbil, exactly. Yeah.
And it does a fourth axis as well as
it does
making
fourth axis.
Wi-Fi.
It actually does 5 axes, and I think I found a macro for gantry routers where it does gantry auto homing for straightening up the gantry and all that sort of stuff. I was impressed. Right? I was impressed. And you can buy the entire module for something like $25, which is like, come on, it's amazing.
Well, you look at like a Mac 3 controller. How much you talking for one of those plus the
like 2,000 or something. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Yeah, amazing. I was blown away.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm just getting into it. I've got a Pi 3B Plus here.
There you go.
Got a Pi 0 and then my Orange Pi that's going to be my server. But these controllers are just amazing.
Beware, there is an addiction hazard to that.
Yep. Yeah, especially on the Linux side of things. That.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have Raphael on. Let's bring you on here, Raphael Bernal. If you can speak, I've got your microphone on.
Hi, I'm glad.
Taking all of this Q&A times for us. Appreciate it. I'm wondering if there are any plans to support any, I don't know, a set of a better surface tools for Libre in the future upgrades.
I can tell you that is definitely being talked about. So we're going to see what happens after V29, but I think surfacing could be our low-hanging fruit to support more of, and that's a great question.
All right, and are there any plans to include Python in there too?
That's a good question.
Python. Well, it's already in, isn't it?
No, no, no,
The
no.
entire scripting environment is in Python.
Within the Surface's toolbox.
With the Surface. Yeah. Okay.
Because that would be amazing.
Yeah, if you have a Libre, go to the home screen, put in suggest a feature. I want to have that documented. So go ahead and submit that. I saw a comment, what's the best way to suggest features? Definitely on the home screen with suggest a feature. In fact, I'll switch my screen.
Right, we'll do that. All I can say is that Alibre has been an amazing tool.
I really appreciate the feedback. Yep, suggest a feature right there. I'm sure I'm going to get an inundation of emails now with feature suggestions, but we're glad to hear the feedback. That's been a good tool, and I think that's a great suggestion to implement Python into new Surface features.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you so much, Raphael. I appreciate it.
Okay, Joseph, can I request a feature?
Yes, please.
So I don't know whether or not there is a proprietary limitation to this suggestion, but I know that McMaster-Carr have step files, and I know this the conversation point earlier was around fasteners. Now McMaster-Carr have a very large library of step files for fasteners, for NEMA motors, or pretty much their whole catalog has a step file. Is there a possibility that you could have a plugin to connect to that catalog and import, or is it a case of you need to manually go to McMaster-Carr and download the step files and then just import them as normal?
Yeah, I love that suggestion. So a few things on that. I don't know if I'm not sure. We do have a trace parts library. I haven't used it very much, so I'm probably not good to talk about it.
Trace parts. Yep.
But that's a library that's a lot like that. But also in our toolbox, hopefully I have an assembly down here that I can just open up. We are going to have this in future versions of Libre have about a McMaster scale of parts that are also configurable and insertable into the library. So that could be another option. I love that suggestion, though, if we could have like a straight up McMaster browser. I want to look into that. So as you know, suggest a feature, and I'm going to have that documented anytime someone suggests a feature in there, and I want to keep track of that. So don't be shy about that.
Can I highlight a comment for you, Joseph?
Yes. Where can we purchase Libre merchandise such as T-shirts? I love that. I think Ex Machina, your shirt is selling itself now.
Yeah, well, I can't tell you guys. I don't know where you can get these.
Yeah, we send them that one. So one way is be a big influencer and do Libre stuff. But also, if you don't want to have a YouTube channel, we have our Libre Spreadshirt shop. I'm going to put a link in the comments right now. So hopefully you'll see in the latest comment will be a link to that Spreadshirt shop. And yeah, as they say in Spaceballs, merchandise where the real money is made. So get your stuff.
Sorry, I saw it and I had to call it.
Please do. Yep. What's another one? I'm scrolling through the comments here. It's less smooth without Alex, man. You can see the value that he brings. Is it possible to delete concurrent lines, one on top of another? Yes, so in a sketch file. If I open up a new part, create a sketch, and I have a line on top of another, maybe I'll make a slot shape. And somehow in the sketching process, one ends up on another. It looks just like a slot, but if I go to extrude it, of course, we get the salmon OK button and there's an error. So one way to find them is to analyze, and you can see that there's a number of problems in the sketch. So again, I just click this analyze button right here and click on analyze, and it highlights where the problem is. And at that point, I can highlight the line and click 0 or click delete, and then there's no problems with the sketch, and then our extrude works out. So that's my suggestion. The sketch analyze is a real lifesaver, and often if you're looking for sketch problems, and I have this concurrent line, you can always search around. I can delete this arc and then hit Control Z to bring it back. And when I delete a line and it's still there, then I know I've got concurrent lines. So that's been my approach. Guys, feel free to add anything if you have anything. And then
the analyze tool is great. And can I just I would just like to add on the analyze tool that if sometimes, you know, maybe you import an SVG, right? Like we were discussing earlier, and it doesn't extrude because there are two lines and they have a tiny gap. The analyze tool has a heal button, right? And you can actually set that tolerance and click heal, and it'll fix that for you. And you know, there are occasions where that works, which is really, really cool.
that is really cool. Here it's grayed out, so I
It's grayed out because it doesn't, you know, I think that as a principle, it doesn't delete sketch elements that you've put in, but for those little gaps that you can't zoom in to see, it works great, and I've used it before, and you should try. If it's not grayed out for you, it'll probably do what you want it to do. So click that one.
Can I just say I am now considering my life choices, because you've just pointed out a tool that could have saved me so much time trying to find where a sketch has broken. Oh my!
I know. Oh, Steve, been there, done that, man. I mean, I'm just telling you. I know the pain. I know the pain, man.
So I saw something about multibodies. Let's see if I can bring that up. Because yeah, it's a good one. Oh, did I lose it? Okay. Well, there was one that said, I wish Alibre had multi-body views or multi-body capabilities. And that is something that might change in the future due to some of the development we've had with V29 weldments. But if I pull up my PDM here, there's just one way to go about multi-bodies in Alibre. And one forum user did point out that it's probably more like multi-piece modeling, but same general goal. So I've got a torque bowl. I should have maybe questioned my life decisions because I realize this is a very heavy model, and so it takes a long time with the insane amount of things that I put into this. But I do use multi-body or multi-piece approaches to something like this, and so it's probably worth pointing out. In the meantime, I don't know, when it comes to multi-body modeling, Kostas, do you have any thoughts or approaches?
I'll tell you what I know about multi-body modeling in Alibre, I know from your video, Joseph, on multi-body modeling, but we actually did do an example earlier, right, with that parametric sketch offset. The way you handle that is you create a surface from the solid, and which is only available in Professional and Expert. But you create a surface from the solid, right? And then you create your new solid, and that does not automatically merge with the previous one, because one is now a solid and the other one's a surface. But when you repeat that command and you go and create a surface from a solid again, it creates a new surface. Again, it doesn't merge it. So now you have two surfaces, and you can switch between which one is solid and which one isn't, and which you can also do with configurations, which we have also shown on this Q&A. and you can get a sort of multi-body modeling. It's not exactly the same as it is in Fusion and SolidWorks, not precisely the same workflow or capabilities. But I find that whenever I have need of something like that, it works for me, right? And I should caveat that with that I don't use multi-body often. I've been doing this for so long that maybe I can anticipate a bit down the line, and so that's how I avoid multi-body modeling, or I just use an assembly and do a top-down design. But when I absolutely need it, the surface trick works for me.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. So, like, just what you're saying, Kostas, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? We lofted out a base here. We change this to a surface, and then we create a loft. And I want to hollow out this loft to become a torque bowl, but I don't want the hollowness to go right into the base because your spoon would never fit in there, right? I want to enjoy my torque. So,
Exactly.
let's see, I come down, I do a shell, and now the top of the bowl is shelled out, but it doesn't spill into there. And then I can stitch it back to a solid, so I have a single torque bowl exactly the way that I would use it. So there are some shortcuts to use surfacing to be able to generate these multi-bodies. Gosh, I just found the comment too, and then I lost it again. Oh, here it is. Found it. We're on the stream. And once again, I want my sweeps to go around my torque body, so I make this whole body a surface, and then I can use surfacing again to start to create these nice lofts, right? So once those lofts are done, we can stitch everything back into a surface and pattern these things. So just a quick example of how you can use multi-body modeling. We probably pounded this one in the ground.
Yeah. And just to bury it even deeper, you can design it in different parts and just Boolean it together. Right, or even Boolean intersect, right? And then you have parametric files for each piece, and you can even tie them together with global parameters. And now we're reaching the core of the Earth with pounding that into the ground. But yeah, you can even tie it together with global parameters, and the possibilities are endless there.
Boolean is a great way to do it, especially because, like you said, it updates the bodies if you edit the individual bodies. I'm one that will use surfacing all the time to keep everything in one single file, but Boolean is such a good option as well, and I always forget to mention it, and that's why you're on the.
Yep, because I always go to Boolean first instead of surfaces.
That's great. Making a custom chopper at the moment. I wanted tires also, and discovered two different circular pattern ways, circular and circular topology. What are the main differences?
Yes.
It looks like you got a good one. Take it away, Kostas.
Yes. So that's a great one. I wish I had a step file here. Let me start a new one. Let me start a new part.
All right, I'll switch it to your screen.
Yeah. So let's do something, simple here, right? So 100 by 100.
In the meantime, Steve, you are doing a few projects in progress, right? Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so I'm kind of gearing up for my 2026 sprint.
Oh, there you go.
If I could call it that. So I've got a few personal projects that I'll be documenting. I'll be making a jazz bass guitar for my son, and
that's
if you
cool.
see any of my live stream content, or if you see, you might see it in some of my videos as well. A lot of my projects have a side quest. So this jazz bass is going to be built from scratch. I've got a 60/40 CNC that I can machine the body out of. I've got a blank here that I can show when it's an appropriate time. But yeah, I'm going to be making the pickups. So I'm making a pickup winder that allows me to wind between 3,000 and 9,000 turns on a coil and not lose the will to live. I cannot machine the neck of the jazz bass on the CNC machine that I've got right now.
Yeah,
so I'm going to be building a CNC from scratch.
There you go, man. There you go.
So yeah, I don't do things by halves. So I've got a little bit of experience building like machines. I've built a Rostock Delta printer. Behind me, so that Rostock Delta printer was affectionately known as Frank, and because he was Frankenstein together. And Frank has gone through a few iterations, and he's currently sitting behind me on my workbench as a pick and place machine for all my electronics projects. So yeah, there's quite a few things that I'm going to be getting through in this coming year, and I can't wait for January 1st when I can really start pulling the trigger and getting the holidays behind me, getting down and doing some serious work.
Cool, man. I've got a project.
This is a guy building a CNC from scratch, folks. So this is your chance to ask him anything, and I want to see some more questions for that.
Going on about building
we've
a
lost
CNC
audio
router from scratch. So maybe we should do it.
He's chatting away. You can't hear him.
Sorry for that.
You're on mute. Have you muted yourself, or is the battery on your mic died? Or
okay, how about now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I've got a project with a client about building a CNC from scratch. So maybe we should sync up.
Oh, for sure.
Anyway, so circular pattern. We all know and love it, right? There you go. I just selected the feature and I'm doing the pattern. Okay. Now, if you saw earlier, what I did is I also made a step file out of this quick design, which is this one. Now, let's bring it in. Let's see, which screen is it going to appear on? The wrong one. Of course it's going to be the wrong one, but I'll bring it over. So this is the step file for that I just designed. Circular pattern, you cannot do a circular pattern because there are no features there. However, if you do a circular topology pattern, it's a different tool that when you select a face, it selects all of the faces that share the same topology with that, right? The main use case I use it is for step files, I have to be honest. And lo and behold, now I can get my pattern going, right? Even in a step file, which I don't need to be designing all of these things, right? Or do whatever. That's a great use case for it. However, because it is based in, topology, I'll try and make it fail now. And because we are on a live stream, it's not going to fail and it's going to work, but I'll give it a shot. Oh no, I know how to make it fail, right? And this is worth showing. So if I do a circular topology on this one, it works, right? There you go, that worked. If I fillet it, it's going to fail. All right, let's see if I make it fail now. It still works.
Isn't that the worst when Alibre is just too good?
Yeah. Yes, I mean, yes and no, but you know what I mean. What I'm trying to show you here is maybe I should have done linear pattern has it as well, right? Linear topology pattern. But the thing is that you see that here I select this one face and it says seed face is face 3, but there are 5 pattern faces. So what this does is it goes into your model and it finds the faces that are roughly in the same topology. And sometimes in really smooth and organic models or whatnot, it might select the entire model, which then doesn't make sense to pattern, right? And also, this worked, right? If I go in here and give it more instances, you see that now one is falling on top of the other. This might fail. This just failed. So it's not as robust as the feature pattern because it's trying to infer. The Alibre modeling kernel is trying to infer stuff. And when it doesn't know exactly what to infer, it errs in, on the side of safety, and it just doesn't do anything. But really useful little tool, topology pattern, especially in where's that? Well, I closed the step file, but still, especially in step files, right? When you want to pattern stuff in step files, can be a huge time saver.
Thank you so much for that, Kostas. I think you killed it. You did a good job.
Thanks, man.
Didn't kill it because it stayed working. You didn't fail.
Yeah, well, it's I mean, it's Murphy's Law, isn't it? When you want it to fail, it works. But yeah,
for sure.
It just goes to show that Alibre is a really robust piece of software, which is another very welcome change if you're coming from SolidWorks or Fusion. I'm saying that. I'm not an Alibre employee, so I can say that, right? It's a welcome change going from SolidWorks to Fusion to Alibre.
If I've never seen Alibre hang, and I very regularly, especially when you do complex patterning in Fusion, if you ever use Fusion, you get that little black panel over your work over your
menus and
yeah.
Yeah, it's infuriating, isn't it?
Yeah. Especially then it goes halfway through the calculation and then crashes.
Yes. Yeah. I know, man.
Didn't even get me a save file.
Yes. Yeah, I know. It sucks.
I pulled up another one here. Is there a way to change the default behavior when projecting to a sketch? I want new elements to always be tied to the original geometry. I can't think of a time when I wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
And that is an excellent question. So maybe I shouldn't have done my tort bowl. That's my heavy one. The short answer is there's going to be.
Oh, no, I am excited now.
Yeah. So,
by the way, guys, what you're looking at, sorry, Joseph, what you're looking at is the background of my PC, and that is a 3D print designed in Alibre. But go on, Joseph.
You bet, and you did a good job with that. So while I'm waiting for my nuclear decision to, I'm not even okay. Here's my screen. While we're waiting for my total heavy nuclear thing to go down, we should talk about the UI. I'm just gonna restart Alibre here because I locked it up myself. Oh yeah, look at that car.
There you go, man.
Say, how many windows have you got open, Joseph?
Yeah, I probably had about 20. You guys are keeping me busy.
20? Come on. And half of them were assemblies, right?
Yes, they were. Yeah, there's all my recovery. So when it comes to the version 29, of course, I've seen some questions about that. The big shining thing is going to be weldments and frame design. But on top of that, we're going to have a brand new UI, and this is good on so many levels. I would overdo it. But when it comes to the new UI, right, it's not going to be just a different, more beautiful appearance, but there's going to be some functional changes as well. If you've ever had pop-up boxes that you have to say okay to click through, like when you have an error that won't resolve, right? That's a big thing. Now you're not going to have to click through annoying pop-up boxes because that was changed. When we activate a sketch and project to a sketch, right, it comes up like this. and I have to manually click maintain association if I want the sketch that I'm projecting to follow my new part. But in the new UI, it's going to remember your selection and use the one that you did last time. And so you can set these kinds of defaults that are based on the way that you use Alibre. So this is going to be a big UI update. So kind of a long explanation to a short answer, but the question is yes in the next version. So stay tuned because it's coming out.
That's cool.
Is there a way to get 2D shape of an object into the 3D space, such as the cross section of a loft at a particular position? Yes. Let me get set up for that. Now, you did a big cable management operation, right, Steve? I'm going to take a second to get this set up, unless you want to do it, Kostas. But do you want to walk us through what you were doing with that, Steve?
Do you mean for the CNC?
Yes. You had your X and your Y, and you showed me that earlier, and I thought that was just the neatest thing.
Right. Let me pull up some photos.
And Kostas, if you want to pull up any cross-sectional stuff for a loft, feel free as well.
I've got a video up showing how to do it, and it's one where I designed one of Too Tall Toby's models, right? So I'll just drop the link to my video in the live chat, and then we can you guys can also show it if you want. But the short of it is, if you do a precise section, right, then with that section enabled, while viewing that section, you can then project it into your next sketch, which is awesome in so many different ways. When you can get the silhouette of your part at a specific place and then put it into your sketch, which is really, really cool. So do you want me to actually show it live, or do you want me to just drop it in the live chat? What do you think?
Why not both? Do you want me to show your screen?
Okay, okay, I'm dropping it. Okay, we're going to get some infinity stuff here. Sorry guys, but let's make a part. Right, let's make a part. recover, please wait, says the error message.
Oh, it's recovered. I think we're back. I think we're back.
We're not.
Oh,
yeah,
darn it.
we are. Yeah.
Yes,
I got eyes
we
on
are.
the channel.
Hey!
Excellent.
Sorry, I had to go to the bathroom, so that's what froze everything.
So that's what happened. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know how much you guys followed with us, but I'll just do it again quickly. So I'll just insert a section view here. The arrows point to what's going to be left, so I will reverse it. And that's my section view. And now I'll make a sketch in the same plane that I used to create that section view to cut the model. And now I can project in this surface. However, I cannot maintain association to source entity, but I can always lock it. And then I can use that to do an extrusion, for example, right? Of course, I cannot see the extrusion now because I am in section view. But if I hide my section view, I've got a pretty weird model going, and that may be a tie into the organic models we were discussing earlier, right? Maybe I don't do an extrusion with this, I do a revolve, right? Will it do it? It doesn't want to do it. No, it doesn't. Oh, wait, there you go. Now let's do the revolve. It's self-intersecting. That's why it doesn't do it. But in any case, yeah, there you go. You can get some really interesting geometry going, and you can get the silhouette of your part from any angle as a sketch, which is really helpful.
Thank you so much, Kostas. I really appreciate it. That was such a good explanation, and right on the fly too. We got some amazing people on this chat, on the stream. I'm seeing some PDM questions, and so perhaps I'll take that real quick. When it comes to PDM, I guess I better pull up PDM. Under my projects, I've got a number of projects, and for our steam engine, for example, it's asking about, oh, and of course, when I change my screen, it doesn't highlight the comment that I'm looking at. So when we talk about design revisions, right? Revision is a property down here. And so when I go to, say, my versions, and I can specify a certain revision here. I think I'm actually just loading this steam engine now, but you can, when you make a new version, have an option to auto up to the next revision. These versions are not editable, and I think that's very useful because when you have revisions, you want to know what's going to be released, and you don't want anything to be accidentally modified. So there's a nice protection on the revisions that you lease built right into the PDM as well. So just wanted to cover that. For part numbering and all of that, we have hopefully going to have some new auto numbering available in future versions, but not quite sure. Can you point us to the script? I think we've done that. Okay. I don't know. Do you see any good questions that I can stick on here?
Yeah, well.
Yes. So we have Max here. True multibody is a paradigm shift that requires a fair amount of development, right? Because we had a question about multibody modeling. And a lot of this is happening due to the structural member module. I didn't want to say that myself because I didn't want to get it wrong, but we have from the top guy's mouth here. So we are working on weldments and structural design in V29. This means that we're going to have angle iron that connects with other angle iron, and you can make a sketch and it makes all the individual pieces of angle iron and these are going to be individual bodies. In order to do that, our part environment needed to be able to support multiple separate bodies that are all coincident. And because of that, then it could be on the horizon sooner than later for true multi-body design. And currently we have all those surface workarounds. So
and can I say, Max also commented that with the new UI project for v29, it is easier to move away from Windows
yes,
and into Linux. So if Alibre gets multi-body and is available and supported in Linux, just go ahead and delete every other CAD program you have, guys. My opinion. Hey.
Okay, I'm back. I had to reconfigure a bit,
So,
but hopefully you can all see this.
I will have to drop off. I'm sorry.
All right, give a big thumbs up in the chat or a big thank you to Ex Machina. We are so grateful to have you with us, Kostas. You are a gift, and I'm kind of scared to go on without you. But all the way from Greece, we are so glad to have you, and thank you so much.
Great to be here. Beautiful stream. Let's do this again.
Let's do it again.
Thanks, guys.
Now, Steve, we were talking about your cable project, and then we had a few things come up, but let's switch over to you. And I think I've got your screen showing on there now with your pictures.
Yeah, so this is my 6040 CNC. My outside workshop is a mess. So I'm gonna call that out right now, right? A messy workshop's a busy one. But yeah, I'm refurbishing this machine. I got it to an operational state, and I was able to use it to carve out the body of the jazz bass guitar that I was talking about earlier. When I've come to use this machine more recently, the coolant lines had fungal growth in them. I was running this with like plain water, just a complete newbie sort of mistake. So what I did, I took all of the coolant lines and cleared out all of the cable trays, and I decided I was going to completely rewire the cable trains, because the cables were all twisted over. It was bunched up. It wasn't particularly pretty, and they were jammed in there. And I guess to some extent that would have likely compressed the coolant lines, potentially slowing down the flow, all of that sort of stuff. So one of the things that I did in Alibre was to design what I'm dubbing a cable trainer. And what this does is it makes the coolant lines and cables conform to a particular path. So if I just bring if I can just go full screen on the camera, can you do that?
Let's see here. Full screen.
This one. There you go. I designed this little cable train, and I'm showing you on camera because it's not going to show up that great in the photos. So the center hole here takes the cable for my spindle motor. The two larger holes at the bottom are for my coolant lines. The two holes at the top are for my stepper motor cables, and then the two little cutouts are for my end stops. So if we go back to here, I've rerouted all of the all of the coolant lines centered around this spindle motor cable. I've drilled out the frame to take a larger bore tube, silicone tube, and essentially you can just make out just in here this gray 3D print, which is one of these trainers. And essentially what it's done, it's very basic and a very simple design, but it means that these cables and tubes now flow through my cable train in such a way that it's all nice and neat. There is no sort of crossing over, and it's a more efficient use of the space. So that's one thing I love to do. Is I see a particular issue or problem that I can solve with a CAD design, and one of these rolls into my VFD. So the VFD essentially is a controller for my spindle. For those who don't know, it takes a single phase power supply and splits it out into 3 phase to drive my spindle. And if anybody uses a CNC router, what I would always say is go for a spindle. A spindle is far quieter than a router. A router is not designed to run like 3-4 hours straight, where a spindle is. So this VFD supplies power. It enables me to control the speed of the spindle. Now I've got industrial warehouse racking in my workspace because it was inexpensive by comparison to lumber. Sounds crazy to say that. And each of my benches now can actually hold 2 ton in weight individually. So I've got no limitation in terms of the load-bearing capacity of my workbenches. So what I've done is I've leveraged the locking system for the beams, and I've modeled. I actually took a beam arm that I cut, and I cut the plate off it, and I scanned it in with a regular 2D printer scanner combo unit with a measuring tape in the shot so I could calibrate the image. And I designed or I copied the locking mechanism, and I designed this mount that then snaps onto my warehouse racking to mount my VFD in a very modular way. So if I choose to move my CNC to a different part, I could just pick this up and just drop it onto another part of the warehouse racking that I've got throughout the workshop, and I can just get set up in minutes. So it's really cool. So Road Rally Race, you are correct. Racking is an excellent idea. I don't know where I got that idea from. Road Rally Race is one of my viewers on Twitch, and yeah, he was the one that sent me down that rabbit hole. I'm gonna throw him under the bus. So
awesome. We are so glad to have your viewers on the stream with us. I'm really glad this is working out. I'm also seeing we have Joseph C. Am I good to bring you on the line? Give me a thumbs up, and we'll get you on the stream here.
Hi.
All right. Yes, Joseph. Great name. What can I do for you?
Well, I was actually using Alibre the other day and went through a couple of things where I thought, gee, it would be nice to have. And so I wanted to take this opportunity to ask about it, if I may.
Yeah.
So one of them is that sometimes I will sketch on a feature or plane, and then later on, I will want to move it to another feature or plane. And one of the things that I'm sure other people have encountered is, which plane did I put the sketch on? Because I know I can always, reproject the sketch to another, plane. But sometimes it's just I need to know which plane I actually had put it on, and I can just modify that plane's parameter.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering what's the sort of the best way to approach that right now.
In the forum, I've seen some users talk about making a dedicated plane for every sketch that you do, which is pretty busy, but
Yeah.
it comes with the advantage that you can always change the definition of that plane at any time, and it just updates. So if I might say, if there's a sketch that you're going to want to change in the future, or is likely to be changed in the future, that could be a good way. Just do a dedicated plane for that sketch. But that is awesome. I'd love to see that recorded. If you suggest a feature on the Alibre home screen, that will make sure that I have that documented for sure.
Okay, cool. And then the other thing is that when I'm modeling, sometimes I want to be able to work on an object that is behind another. Again, for projecting for sketches, for example. And my current workflow is I start a sketch, do some stuff, then exit the sketch, hide the thing that's in my way, project the thing I need, and then unhide that item. And I would love to find a way to make that process go smoother.
Yeah, let me share my screen here. Hopefully you can see. So one thing, I've got this tort bowl that I still have up. If I create a sketch on here, and if I want to make something perhaps on the inside of my tort bowl, again, I happen to have a really heavy part up, so maybe it's going to take a second to think. But would that be a good representation of what you're going for? Maybe you need to make something inside of that tort bowl and the wall is in the way.
In my case, it would be more in like an assembly where, let's say, there's a circuit board inside an enclosure, and then there's some feature that sits on top of the enclosure, and I need to reference an item that's on the inside of the enclosure.
That's a really good question. Let's see if I can pull up an assembly here.
Could you use a sectional analysis to create like a cutaway so you could see inside?
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Yeah, I'll open up my big assembly for better or worse. But yeah, you can do a section view, and I would suggest a precise section view. There's a few ways to do section views in Alibre. Again, we'll just let this load up for just a second. And this is, again, our Stratco contactor assembly. Check Stratco out if you have any interest in lubricating grease. They do some really cool stuff. So we can do, say, right-click, hide component, and that's one way to get there. But of course, maybe you'd want to have that as a visual reference. So another thing we can do is wireframe, and we can kind of see the important edges of something without having it block, say, this pipe behind it. Another thing that we can do is if I go with the precise section view, all right, we'll go to inspect, precise section. We can select certain parts that we wish to section. Again, this takes just a moment because we are dealing with a large assembly, but let's say I want to section out part of this reactor, or even maybe this knockdown tank right here. And then we can offset this. Gosh, I'm not even sure what unit I'm in. I work in so many different units, but that allows us to be able to section things out. So far, does anything look helpful?
Yeah. It never occurred to me that I could use section to actually temporarily get something out of the way without actually having to scroll through my tree to find the item, hide it, and then do my scroll somewhere else to get back to my sketch, get in there, and then get back out and have to go through the tree again to unhide it and so on.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I choose that and apply it, there we go. Right. So there we can see.
Yeah. So that's great. Okay, I do like that. That would help. I use Altium to design electronics, and one of the things that they do that I like in that is that you can pick a number of components and set a memory selection memory, and then you can recall the selection memory with a hotkey. So it could be like, oh, I'm going to take this display and these mounts. I'm going to select it all together as a group. And then there's a shortcut key. The way they do it is like you hit Control-1, and that turns it into Group 1. And maybe you have some other things that you do Control-2 that turns into Group 2. Then you can go Alt-1, and all of a sudden, all the things that went into Group 1 get selected all simultaneously. Or you hit Alt-2, and all of a sudden, everything in Group 2 gets selected simultaneously. That's a jump around the selections.
Yeah, that's a great feature. So I don't think we have selection groups right now. I'm going to take a note of that. And this is where I might say, Costas, do you have any ideas? Who's gone, of course. And you too, Steve, if you have any ideas. But I think that might be something that's really worth putting in our development list. So again, submit that as a feature suggestion, and I'll have that documented as well.
Cool. I think that's it for now. Thank you very much.
Got it. Hey, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it, and we'd love to see you in the future if you have any additional questions.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joseph, I'm going to need to call it soon myself. It's
okay.
It's getting into the evening here, so.
Well, Steve, we cannot thank you enough for being on with us. And again, if anybody has seen Steve, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what this guy is capable of. So let's hear it for Steve. Virtual round of applause. Leave some comments and subscribe to IQ Workshop again. I just cannot believe what Steve is capable of doing with this amazing breadth of knowledge. Steve can just pick something up and make a project out of it.
Do you know what? I think we live in one of the best times in human history, right? Where we have tools, services, software at our fingertips that we can pretty much make anything we can think of. You know, you go back 50 years and, you know, these things hadn't even been conceived. So the fact that these tools are available to us today and we can pretty much have an idea 1 minute and the physical thing is in your hand like moments later, it's incredible. It's what sucked me into this maker sort of genre that I find myself in, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Same here. Well, Steve, thank you so much. I'm probably gonna have to call it too. We've been at it for about 2.5 hours, and or at least it says 2.5 hours live. Well, we'll see what it is. But we have an awesome outro video. Check out this outro video because I spent way too much time in the video editor working on it. And you know what? We're gonna do this again. In fact, I made an asset for it, so I'm gonna hurry and put that up. Next stream is January 2nd. Check us out then, because it kills me that I couldn't answer all the questions, and I want to hear more. Please come back on January 2nd and we'll answer some more. Steve, thank you so much again for your time. And
thanks for having me.
Well, until next time, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in